Now when they're frying like that, those bubbles all around there, that's the right temperature.
Today we're making apple fritters. To get the perfect crispy fritter, you need to maintain the temperature of the oil while you're frying. And in order to do that, you need to select the proper pot or pan. I'm going to be using my cast iron skillet today. I've chosen this one because it has high sides and I like that. But it's also very heavy duty. Now, if I wasn't so fortunate to have this very high-sided cast iron skillet, I would be using my heavy-duty Dutch oven for this job. And another great option for frying is a heavy-duty saucepan. You'll just be cooking fewer fritters at a time. So make sure you have a very heavy-duty bottom pan, and we are going to jump right into this fritter recipe. We start by whisking together our dry ingredients, including flour, sugar, cinnamon, baking powder, and salt. I love a lot of cinnamon with my apples. I'm using 2 teaspoons. We measure out our milk, add vanilla, and egg. I'm making a well in the center of our dry ingredients, and I'm pouring our wet ingredients in. Make sure that egg is broken up. And we added melted butter that has been slightly cooled. I'm pouring this around the edge of our dry ingredients. And we're going to take a flexible spatula and stir this. Just like pancake mix, you just blend this until everything is mixed and let it rest. Now I've let my batter rest about 10 minutes while I prepared my apples. I want you to see the consistency of this batter. That's very important. I know sometimes we add a little too much flour to our recipes. If your batter appears to be dry, add a teaspoon of milk or cream at the time until you have a wet batter. But it's a very thick batter. Now we're going to add a 1.5 cups of apples, and you can use any sort of apple that you would use to make a pie, a tart or sweet apple, but it needs to be a firm apple. And you're going to chop them into very small pea-sized pieces, about 1/4 inch square, and pack them into your measuring cup. This is a generous 1.5 cups of apples. Fold those apples in. I prefer my fritters with peeled apples. This is slow as molasses in January. That's the perfect texture for our fritters, and we're moving over to the frying pan. Before you begin frying, you'll want to lay out some paper towels on a baking sheet or a platter so that will be ready when your fritters come out of the oil. We're using 2 cups of oil. I'm using shortening. I'm using shortening because that yields a less greasy fritter. You want your oil to be about 375 degrees to begin. If you don't have a thermometer, drop a piece of the apple in. It should go to the bottom, and then if it floats within a few seconds, the oil is ready. If your oil begins to smoke, it's too hot. This is a serving spoon. I grab up a scoop, and then I push it into the oil. I take the spoon and flatten this. And you can make it a rounded heaping dinner spoon. Now when they're frying like that, those bubbles all around there, that's the right temperature. That's perfect. The oil's not too hot, it's not smoking, the oil's not too cool because you have those bubbles. I mean, it doesn't have to be exactly on 350 or 355 or 360, but you don't want it to go above 375. And that is the perfect color for a fritter. A deep, dark golden brown. And I always keep these excess pieces of batter out of my oil. And you don't want to overcrowd your pan. If you can't move the fritters around freely, that's a problem. You want to be able to move the fritters around freely, or anything that you're frying. You want it to be completely surrounded by that oil. Now if you want to, use a spatula to push that off of your spoon.
I've been around the frying pan a while, so I don't normally do it that way. I normally just push the batter off with my fingers. After you add the second batch, your oil could be cooling off a bit. So just, time it, and if the one side's not done in a couple minutes, you might have to fidget with the oil just a tad. So cooking with the temperature too low, they'll get greasy and soggy. Cooking with the temperature too high, the inside won't cook. Now, I don't normally cook the fritters as large as this, and I don't suggest cooking them any larger. You just have a harder time flipping them. That's about the perfect amount. Let's look at the inside. The batter is done. It's not overdone. The outside's not overcooked. The batter is done on the inside. It's kind of cake-like instead of runny and wet. Here are our fritters, and I think they're just perfect. You want them to be the same color on both sides. Let's make a powdered sugar glaze using a cup of powdered sugar and 3 tablespoons of milk. The secret to a perfectly crispy fritter